If your wheels have a ridiculous buildup on them that looks kind of brownish, bronzish like this, it's probably time for new brakes. Today we're going to put brakes on this extremely dirty G35. If you don't have a fancy battery operated impact like me, then you'll want to loosen your lug nuts before you lift the car off the ground. You're just going to be fighting the rotating tire. You're going to loosen the two bolts on the back of the caliper using a 22mm socket. You're going to loosen the bottom and the top bolt of the rear caliper using a 19mm socket. If you're having a hard time getting your caliper bolts out, just go ahead and use your favorite penetrating oil. When you're doing your brakes, you'll either need to have your rotors resurfaced at an AutoZone or O'Reilly. Usually I think about $15 a rotor, or you may need to replace them if there's not enough material for them to work in. If your rotors have deep grooves like mine do, you probably had metal on metal contact, and it's best to just replace them. For the bottom bolt on the rear calipers, you're going to need to use a 19mm wrench because the toe arm is in the way and will prevent you from getting a socket on that bolt. New rear brake pad. The cause of my issue. The front side of my passenger rear still had some pad on it, but the back side, whew, it was definitely gone. Some cars' calipers will either be pressed right back in, or some of them in fact screw. You need to twist them as you push them back in. These ones just press right back in, and I can usually do it with a pair of vice grips. They do, however, make specialized tools to address this exact job. Now that both of my 22mm bolts are out, I can go ahead and just slide my front caliper off. On the back of your brake pads, you'll want to apply some brake grease or some lithium grease just so they don't squill on you when you're pressing the brakes. Keep in mind the orientation of your caliper. The rounded edge on the top of your brake pads will go to the outside of the rear. So if this was in the caliper right now, it would be towards the outside. And same for the back. You want the rounded part towards the outside of the wheel. Now that I have finger painted some lithium grease on there, I'm ready to put in my pads. Now that my new pads are installed, I'm ready to put the caliper back on and put my 19mm bolts back in. The pads are installed. The 19mm bolts are tight and everything. I'm ready to put my wheel back on. There's a learning curve.